Hey friends, welcome to my channel, and today's video is about Best of Near-Death Experiences 22. Yeah, let me know what do you think about this topic. You believe in the afterlife or not? What's your belief in that? I would very appreciate to discuss with you. I would love that. In this video I'll show you the scariest incidents from people who have either had a near-death experience themselves or have witnessed one. I hope you will like it, and if you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel so you can always watch the latest videos that I upload 2 times a week. And now have fun with the video.
I'm a biker, and one Sunday afternoon I was out for a ride and a truck made a left-hand turn and crashed right into the side of me. I was T-boned, head gravely injured. I had a traumatic brain injury. I had a broken spine. My hip was shattered. My leg was broken. I had internal injuries. One of the doctors later told me that usually this is an autopsy report and not a medical record. So I was very fortunate to even survive the initial crash. And I was put into emergency surgery. They had to stabilize me. They had to put all these rods and pins and screws together in order to put me back together. And then I was put in intensive care. And to the rest of the world, I spent 3 weeks in a coma. But in my body, in myself, I was in another place, a place that I call the place between here and there. One of the first things I was taught there was the language of the universe, followed up by what they call a life review. I didn't know anything happened because the first place I was in was a work-like setting. There was nothing different except that I started to see people who I haven't seen in years in this work-like setting, but they hadn't changed at all since last I remembered them. And then I saw people who I saw yesterday, and of course they appeared as I remembered them. And then over a period of time, what I started to see is I started to see the same people who I knew as perhaps middle-aged people. I started to see them as young people, or I started to see them as elderly people. I started to see people who I knew as being men as women and women as men. And I started to see the same people who I knew in all different types of nationalities, all sizes and shapes and colors, everything. And what I was being taught was how to see the spirit in everyone and everything. I was still able to recognize the people who I knew, regardless of the form that they were in. So the first thing as I was taught is how to recognize the spirit in everyone, regardless of how they looked. And then the next thing that happened to me is I came to the realization that everything around me had a spirit. Not only people, but plants and animals and trees, the planet, the universe, everything had a spirit. And then I came to the realization that there was a similarity in all of these spirits. And I began to realize that we are all connected. We are all connected, and together we make up one spirit, and that spirit is the Creator. Everything we see, everything we are, is a manifestation of the Creator. And that really brought so much bliss to me because that felt like I had value. At this point, I didn't see any bright lights that I had to go into, or I didn't see any lost relatives. And I was being taught the language of the universe, the way the spirit works, because the next thing that I was exposed to is what is often referred to as a life review. And so I had the opportunity to review my entire life and to be able to see spirit and to fully understand all the things that have happened to me and the meaning behind that. Everything in life is a learning experience. Everything drives that spiritual growth. And so as time went on, I just felt like I was so at ease. Imagine life if you didn't have any worries, you didn't have any cares, and all you felt was love and bliss all around you. That was the effect of the life review for me. The purpose of life is to experience life, is to enjoy life. And so those were the most important lessons I learned in the first place. Now, in the second place is that I was put in charge of these young adults, these kids. And once again, it was another work-like setting, and I was to show them how to do their jobs. But they wouldn't listen to me at all. Zero. They would not listen to me. Anytime I would meet with my spirit guide, who I thought was an owner of the place that I was working at, and they would give me the instructions. I would go to teach the kids. They wouldn't listen to me. They would scatter, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. And then one day, this spirit who I saw as my boss touched me as I saw something in that person. And I saw a reflection of myself. All of a sudden, I realized that that person was my higher self. And so once my higher self touched me and communicated with me, then everything changed. But then when I retuned my mind and I saw the kids as spirit, that changed everything. And then they were listening to me. And then I finally came to the realization that I am not here to teach those kids. What I was really there for is to prepare these children for a human incarnation, that they have never experienced human incarnation. And that was the reason why I was there, while I was being tested to see how well I've learned the spirituality and to see where my next step in spirit. Then I went to the very last place, in that place between here and there. In the town I live in, Kings Park, is that there is this place which we call the Bluff. And it's where everyone goes at the end of the day and they'll drink coffee, or maybe they'll drink out of a red Solo cup and watch the sunset. And so at the end of every day is that I would watch the sunset with these two fellas who I knew from town. They were in their 80s, John and Joey, two old buddies of mine. And I would watch the sunset with them. I couldn't count how many times, but it was definitely closer to infinity than it was to one. I mean, this went on, it was like such a regular part of the time I was there. I was in a coma for 3 weeks, but the time I was in that place, it was many lifetimes. I just had so many experiences. I felt nothing but bliss in this place. And I would felt bliss when I would sit there with John and Joey and watch the sunset. But then one day when I was sitting there with Johnny and Joey, I came to the realization that Johnny and Joey were both dead. All of a sudden, I was like, what's happened here? I asked them, what are they doing here? And they said to me that they're here to make sure that I'm all right. But it didn't make sense to me, because that I was all right. I didn't get it. And so as I sat there contemplating that, I watched the sunset. The sun got brighter and brighter and brighter. And then I couldn't stand it anymore, and I closed my eyes. And then when I felt I could open my eyes again, I opened my eyes, and I was in my hospital room. And that was my time in the place between here and there. I felt this energy, this drive every day to get up out of bed, no matter how horrible I felt. And I was glad, because I knew by the end of the day I would be better. It's been a challenge, but I tell you, it's the best experience of my life. I wouldn't go back to a day before the accident for anything, because it has profoundly changed my life in such a beautiful and wonderful way.